Shakespeare often used the supernatural in his plays to create mystery, tension, and excitement. He presents supernatural elements in different ways, depending on the story, and they can be either evil and dangerous or mischievous and playful. Two plays that show this contrast are Macbeth and The Tempest. In Macbeth, the supernatural is presented as a dark, evil force that influences the characters to do terrible things. The most famous example is the three witches, who play a key role in driving Macbeth to his eventual downfall. From the very first scene, the witches create an eerie and sinister atmosphere. They speak in riddles and strange chants, suggesting that they have knowledge of the future and are manipulating events to cause chaos. When they tell Macbeth that he will become king, they set him on a path of murder and ambition. The witches represent dark, supernatural powers that bring out the worst in Macbeth and lead him to his doom. As Macbeth becomes more consumed by guilt and paranoia, he starts seeing supernatural visions. The floating dagger that leads him to murder Duncan and the ghost of Banquo at the banquet both suggest that Macbeth is losing control of reality. These supernatural elements highlight how evil and destructive forces are overtaking his mind. In Macbeth, the supernatural is clearly linked to evil and destruction. The witches and visions represent dark powers that manipulate Macbeth and contribute to the violent, tragic events of the play. In contrast to the dark, supernatural elements in Macbeth, the supernatural in The Tempest is more mischievous and often used to create magic and wonder. In this play, the supernatural comes from the magician Prospero and the spirits he controls, especially Ariel. Ariel is a playful and magical spirit who serves Prospero. Ariel's powers are used to create illusions and trick the other characters, but unlike the witches in Macbeth, Ariel's actions are more about fun and mischief than evil. For example, Ariel creates a storm, the Tempest, to bring Prospero's enemies to the island, but this is part of a plan for reconciliation, not destruction. Ariel's supernatural abilities add a sense of magic and mystery to the play. Prospero's control of the supernatural is central to the play. He uses his magic to control events on the island, but his magic is portrayed as wise and just, rather than evil. His supernatural powers help to resolve conflicts and bring the characters to a happier conclusion. In The Tempest, the supernatural is presented as something more playful and creative rather than dangerous. It helps bring about the story's resolution, unlike in Macbeth, where the supernatural leads to destruction. Shakespeare uses the supernatural to create different kinds of atmosphere and tension in his plays. In Macbeth, the supernatural is tied to dark forces that manipulate characters and lead to violence. In The Tempest, however, the supernatural is more about playfulness and magic, helping to guide the story toward a more positive ending. This contrast shows that in Shakespeare's world, the supernatural can be both dangerous and mysterious, or mischievous and wondrous, depending on the story he wants to tell.